proper digestion and helps maintain vitamin and mineral levels. It's just one document, or not document, just like a thing on my computer, like a writing up.
That's good.
Where are y'all up to?
What's that?
Oh, what are y'all up to?
Kind of the same thing. Um, I like the information you had. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just kind of resting as well, dealing with my muscular situation. Um,
like some things I wrote on yeah, some things I wrote on here like avoid because of weed, pesticides, and GMOs. Things to look out for could possibly be squash, zucchini, soybean, and canola oil, because they could cause like potentially cause problems like cancer and illness and digestive issues, and then stuff that might uh mess up like the stomach lining could be lecithin, lecithin, polyglycerols, polysorbate, and emulsifiers. Uh, I wrote I wrote that apples and peaches and strawberries are should be pretty good if they're organic. That would probably avoid a lot of pesticide stuff, random stuff. I don't really have sources for all this. I just remember like looking it up or finding stuff and then wrote it down.
no, that's good, especially the things to avoid. Some of those, I can't remember the whole uh, body of information on it, but you're getting there with the canola.
Yeah,
The soy has those interactions.
zucchini.
It's so deep, and then like the nicotine or whatever the class of them are, they can cause
Yeah, it's a,
allergies. Um, and the
it's a
gluten in the
nicotine.
wheat it developed like a special wide allergy over the years of uh, breeding for more and more gluten because it's crunchy and gooey and et cetera and so on, and it's basically not made for human bodies. Horses break it down, cows break it down, and so on. So yeah, that's real good.
Yeah, too much white bread. That's what I heard, and that's what I've also found. Like if you just eat a whole bunch of white bread all the time, that could mess with you a little bit.
Yeah, I eliminated it for the most part. Um, I'm trying to make my own, which is pretty successful for the most part. With buckwheat flour, and then I just started adding in cassava flour, which is like a I got a burp now, like
You
a
said
potatoy.
like wheat flour.
Um, no, it's what is buckwheat. Buckwheat
Oh,
is
buckwheat. Yeah, yeah.
it's a plant, I guess, like a flower, kind of like a grass, and then the buckwheat itself is the seed husk that is taken dried and turned into a grain, and so it's not really even a grain. It's not like an oat or anything like that. It's not wheat, and then that actually works, but it just has like a kind of dirtier taste. Like kind of tastes like not dirt or dirty, but it just has like a very rooty kind of. You can tell it's like not whole grain either. It doesn't taste like whole grain. Whole grain tastes like kind of like weird cardboard, and wheat just tastes kind of like cardboard without any flavoring.
Yeah,
Um, but and then I
yeah.
added cassava, which is the potatoy starch thing, and it's as good as any other bread. And you get your protein and
Oh,
stuff, but it's not gonna mess with your DNA, your stomach lining, and all that stuff.
oh, okay. Yeah, I gotta look. I'll type that down. I gotta look that.
And you can I make it myself, literally with buckwheat flour, and then I add the cassava now, and then just like almond milk, baking soda, baking
Yeah,
powder, salt, all that, and you bake it, and it's bread. It's technically
yeah.
just a cake because it's not like gooey like bread, but
Okay.
if you
Yeah, I like
if
that.
you're looking to get off a wheat, which is supposed to be
Yeah,
something as a guideline, it's supposed to be a serious guideline to reduce to eliminate wheat. to not have wheat in your system because it interacts with your DNA. It's been bred heavier for certain things that are, preferential in baking and culinary, but it's toxic to our DNA, and over time it just became a poison, and then now we're living with it. Which then, if you have a poison that never gets better, but you continue to live with it, you develop an autoimmune disorder where now your body's attacking itself because of its own reaction in response to that thing that isn't technically bad, but develops an allergy. And I went through it in my life, and I think the whole planet's kind of going through it. But it works. You put butter and salt or sweet if you want it sweet, and then it replaces bread.
That makes sense. Yeah.
What's that?
Oh no, I said that makes sense. Yeah. From like personal experience, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But does it have a lot of fiber in it too? Like, if you're not gonna eat wheat?
I think it's considerable. I can't remember right now. From uh what I feel from eating it, it's not too high or low. And you'll want an alright little bit of fiber. I would think it has more fiber if it's the way it is. I don't have the bag next to me. I could probably look it up on the internet. Just a quick thing. And then, or you can add fiber to it, say flax meal, or something, one of the kind of protein powders or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I've
Canola.
been getting into, like customizing food instead of relying on the stores. What were you saying?
Yeah, quinoa, right?
What about it?
Quinoa. No, with like a Q, like quinoa.
Oh, oh,
That's what,
quinoa,
that would also,
quinoa or quinoa.
yeah, or, yeah, however you
I
say
thought,
it.
yeah,
That'd be
I
like
never said it that way either. I say it the way it looks like it's spelled. But go ahead.
it'd be like a protein source. You could, um,
There,
yeah, I forgot what I wrote like a few things, but I forgot which one was which one was which. But like to increase metabolism, protein, anti-bloating, and vitamins. And there's like a list of them, like pumpkin seeds and peas and vanilla, coconut, monk fruit, raw cocoa, orange, spinach, white puffy mushrooms, Brazil nuts, and asparagus.
yeah,
Chocolate.
it's all good.
Yeah, I tried having some of those, not all of that at the same time, but some of them, like the white puffy mushrooms, Brazil nuts, cocoa, coconut, vanilla, and monk fruit. Had all those at like the same like time frame. And I mean, I guess these are just like little things here and there, but you tried that thing when you talked about coffee a long time ago and drinking water with the coffee, something like that. That actually helped a lot. Made drinking coffee a lot more enjoyable. Or if you use almond milk, and then almond milk's got vitamin E and usually in it and stuff. I guess maybe they add it or it's in there. I don't know. Maybe it's in there naturally. But yeah, you could add that to coffee too. So I think
Yeah, I stopped
you could
drinking
do like oat
coffee.
milk.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I don't drink it all the time. I drank like for a little bit, then I took like a few uh day break or something and tried to not drink caffeine, and then drank a coffee all of a sudden, and then I had a lot of energy. That was
Yeah.
interesting.
Did you?
Yeah, shit. When I drink coffee, I can drink it for one day, and when I drink it the next day, I get so fucking tired. I can't drink caffeine no more.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
crash.
that's the thing. Yeah, you get like it messes with you, or it could lower like what was it? Lowers magnesium, something else. It
Uh,
messes adrenaline or whatever. Yeah, I went to this one coffee place though over here where I live, and it's like anytime I went to this specific place, it's like get a whole bunch of energy for like maybe an hour and then crash.
yeah, when you
Hold on one sec.
when you need to substitute something like the fresh rush, I take guarana powder. Yeah, I take 1 spoon, a teaspoon, and then mix it with warm water so it blends better. And then you can drink it like tea, and the energy is much more constant and stable, and you don't get that hard fall you get after drinking coffee.
I've tried that before when I was younger. It's stimulating. Guarana.
Sorry.
He was talking about guarana as a caffeine substitute.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's a little too strong.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
there's
to organize these like chat meetings to have like a kind of I don't know some shape to them. I don't know when that's gonna come about, but sooner or later. What were you saying?
yeah, something with like the hormone balance that I made like a comment about with melatonin, and then it's like some sort of thing like if like melatonin is lowered, and then that causes like a hormonal imbalance, which is could just be basically like not eating fruits and vegetables and like other things and stress and other stuff. And then that's just like a hidden like hard to like detect like cause for like certain stuff possibly. It's just melatonin. And then so you could just that's like what the comment I was leaving, so you could just like find like online like foods and natural things that have melatonin in it, and then you could like reverse that. Yeah.
That's part of like how complex it is. And there's so many interactions and layers of interactions. Um, you don't have to know everything, but if you get like a basis for the neurotransmitters that kind of modulate mood and wake and sleep, and then the food interactions, and then the energy interactions that might run out of things like too much mental work can drain choline, and you can replace it with choline or some of these other I can't remember the other word. Um, like they're B12 derivatives and B6
Yeah.
derivatives. There's so many of them. There's so numerous things. I mean, of course, going to school probably for chemistry and biology would be one of the best ways to do it. But you know, screw that as far as what that entails
Yeah.
otherwise. But as
Yeah,
far as
you can get B6 in bananas, I think. Yeah, that's one of them. Like an example, just an example.
Yeah, the thing with neurotransmitters and nerves, I'm smoking natural tobacco, and I found that this might cause the body to heal or something like that in the nerve type stuff. Don't know how to express.
the nicotine might heal the nerves. You're saying?
I don't know. It might even be some other components of tobacco, but I found that it is important to have the natural tobacco, which is grown without pesticides and other
Right.
chemicals.
Right. All the chemicals.
Yeah.
I've heard nicotine does have some protectant value and so, like as far as stabilizing the mind, and then apparently something related to like advanced tech or spiritual assault or something like that. It can kind of protect.
Uh-huh.
Um, or parasitic, like anti-parasitic, antiviral, or not viral, but parasitic, and so on. But it does have to be, if in any of those cases, it has to be like the pure tobacco, not the corporation
Yeah,
chemical laden
for sure.
tobacco.
No, it could be even some alkaloids within the tobacco. I don't know if it's the nicotine, but I can assure you that the effect you just taught, the protective, and you get even a bit more focused after smoking, and I couldn't get nearly near that with industrial tobacco. It always fucked me up really bad.
Yeah, digestive makes you sick. And you can see in earlier times if people kind of used their minds, their mental state for a greater deal of interaction. Say, I don't know, people believed in magic or superstitions or certain things. And something like that, if you didn't have the ability to take a pill or, I don't know, drink a bunch of something and kind of clear your mind, something basically nicotine in earlier times without access to chemicals was a basic stimulant and nootropic. And in the ways that people use their minds differently, that could have been something like a tool, a shamanic tool, a kind of synergistic plant spirit, combo or whatever.
Yeah,
And so
kind
yeah,
of like
and then it's kind of degraded now. How people see it now is like,
yeah, they tried to mess with it, put out a bad version of it or something, like a mind over matter kind of thing. Like
yeah,
especially
similar.
if someone's trying to give you a hard time or something, and then you could use it, and then it'd be even more effective or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I wrote
And now
yeah, yeah,
now the shitty one makes it even worse. But go ahead.
right.
It
I was
like
saying
gives
like
people attachments and shit.
oh, okay. I wrote down like, for nicotine, it could increase acetylcholine, so that would be like one of the specific things, like how it could be positive. So that would be like
Yeah,
something's going on with that.
it would give you a stimulant value with that. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter, like lubricant and base medium, and so and then too much, everything seizes up and overloads. I can't remember what too little is. Something similar, I think,
And
breathing disruption or something.
uh, yeah, I forgot.
Um, and so yeah, like the shamans back then were the people who knew how herbs and certain activities, even maybe the locations and things like that, and processes to put your mind and body through would interact with certain neurotransmitters that they probably didn't have the words for, but they called, some elemental, reference or something that would then develop in your aura or something. They're talking about a neurotransmitter in your brain. And they knew how to like shape reality through that and use it to the benefit of the user or the one having the brain and having to deal with all the. I mean, if your neurotransmitters go wrong, reality falls, and so it's like we're kind of shaping our reality by doing that, and it's kind of like at risk of falling into an abyss. Um, but regardless, sorry, a little distracted.
If you do what, it's at risk.
What's that?
Like if someone did what, it would be at risk. Like what's the risk?
Oh, the risk is if your neurotransmitters aren't in a good balance
Right.
because life wasn't handled the right way in earlier times. I don't know what kind of trouble people could get into if the shaman was the most knowledgeable person, which isn't probably a bad thing. I said risk, and then I think falling into an abyss that you would basically it would be the equivalent of falling into a different area or location or reality because you can't get back the potential that your neurotransmitters hold earlier on if they've been dissipated or disorganized through any kind of abuse, basically, including like nutrient deficiency.
Yeah,
Like your brain requires nutrients and all those balances to keep those many chemicals in cycle, which then equates to your consciousness remaining steady throughout time, um, and so on. And
yeah, that makes sense. 'Cause I've had personal experience with that too, like trying prescriptions or something, and then um, it's almost like good or bad things could happen. Yeah, yeah, if bad things happen though, then like from a spiritual aspect, at least, like that could mess up slightly, kind of mess up, things for if you're on like a spiritual development or different stuff, and then then you're having like a messed up neurotransmitters or something that's also like affecting that.
right, you get a cumulative effect from all the things because they're all equally interacting with the aspect of you, which is this kind of shared concept between all the aspects of your physical and mental existence. It's kind of like a space. What's it called? Merry-go-round, or what are those things the kids they play on? It goes up and down. I can't remember what it's called.
Seesaw?
Seesaw. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that's our
basically.
mind. Maybe that's
Yeah,
the judgment, the lady, and the mythical stuff. It's really like in your brain that person exists. Whether that's going to happen in the world, it's not like justice out in the world, lady justice or whatever, but it's your mind. Okay, a gift from Zoom. Running out of time. We've removed the 40-minute time limit on your group meeting. All right, whatever. I'll take that.
yeah. What about like what if a thought, you go from a thought and then that changes like the time or the reality based on like what you do. Kind of forgot where I was going with that, but like, do you think that's like a jump that you just jump? Like, if you do something like different, like I pick this up from the left, or maybe I'd put it to the right, and then like something as simple as that completely alters time in the present and the future, or like the past. It's like interesting. Yeah.
Um, maybe it's both in potential, in that depending on how the object is kind of interfaced, maybe how the change of the object is oriented and facing, so that what it's going to be interacting with and altering, and maybe certain things are interactive, so that if you have a great enough influence that it changes enough of the future, it also influences the past automatically. And you're kind of looking at whether there's an algorithmic informational matrix of possible pathways, and what the underlying necessity of that structure is, whether it's kind of more or less all the way down to DNA, in that you change something in time, you're changing your genetics and your DNA, and we're kind of all in a track of time, or whether it's mind, and in that sense, what you choose alters the track of time, and you could then, if that's possible, and it's possible the other way as well, genetically, because you would just have to use a genetic supercomputer, you could then feed enough of the information from your mind or your genetics into a system that could then mimic reality and map out a visible algorithmic information matrix that you could scroll through like a computer and select which events you want to alter, kind of like altering DNA or genetics, and have the system project out to show you what it would be and what would happen. And then, so then again, the original understanding of that is a shaman who can go into these states, or has these ritualistic, routine, ceremonial kind of fractal, organized practices that kind of ripple influence into time and space in a different manner. And in that state that they go in, they can see the influences, and they can perceive a person and their intentions, and possibly their DNA and their own natural organics quantum supercomputer, the shamans of old, or anybody else. And then they could see what intentions and what actions are coming out of them that are then going to alter a basic, or maybe a primary set of influences that everyone has, maybe these set of standards that we have to achieve in life, and is going to be holding them back because of their decisions, or and so on, or why it's holding them back, in the sense that uh, usually it's a bit also around fear, and then they'll have the capacity to find out what the fear is, or how to get them to overpower the fear. And in that, there's probably a great deal of tension. Oops. And well, I think your room was making the noise, Matt. And then in the shaman getting them to overcome the tension, or that pain, it changes something energetically, which changes something biophysically, which then changes time. And that's all theoretical, that the shaman is actually altering time, but I think you kind of get the idea.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Um, but you can also do the same thing just with one sec. Yeah, you can also do the same thing with just like thought. If that was possible to do with all that, then it's also possible to do it without any of that.
Right. If
Would
somebody
also
was
be
good
like,
enough and could build up enough information that they could ascertain and hold the projection of the possibilities, all you would need is a mind capable of and willpower and focus capable of like actually selecting and holding attention to create those same results. But go ahead. Sorry. Still there? Might keep freezing. I will be right back. It's like you're petting the camera. I guess Matt left. Interesting.
Is it on purpose that your screen is? I mean, if I look at you, your skin is all kind of black, and I can see through it, and the background is kind of strange. Is it some of these glitches you were talking about, or did you do this on purpose?
Well, it's supposed to be the background, and instead of it made my skin the background. So and then I kind of like it because it looks so weird. Like that looks real weird to me.
Special effects.
I'm a color of sorts. It's the first time it happened, so I just kept it.
Yeah, it's cool to see you and talk to you live, man. I've been following your stuff from a pretty long time, I gotta say. When the first time I saw your stuff, I know you were talking truth because you could just feel it in the way you expressed yourself. But I knew this kind of stuff was too way over my head at the time. So I waited a year and stumbled on some videos of you again. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes time. Kind of probably should have thought that out a little bit more, but instead of dumping so much at once, it takes time. But as well, things happen very quickly. Um, so it kind of had to happen the way that it did, and I think it's you know reasonable, effective, beneficial for the stuff that's going on today or whenever now is, and whatever's happening whenever that is. However, it's all happening. I don't even know where now is compared to the next now, but it's all good. No, thank you though. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I have to thank you because you really opened the eyes and the mind for me. It was maybe 2012, 2013 or something like that when I really began this whole strange awakening process. I was always really curious about the way the world seemed, and this always seemed kind of off to me, but the real shit started to happen at that time. Yeah.
That part's the weird part. I don't know how to place that, but some type of series of weird events that seems to surround one's awakening, and a variety of different interactions as far as how people report that. But as long as one makes it through it, and again, it's kind of slowly, it's doable and meaningful, and it might kind of save our species if you think about it. Everyone kind of encouraging one another's increase of self-awareness, increasing all that. Yeah. But it's gonna require conscious effort from a lot of people, which I think we have, but it's just gonna get weirder as well.
Hmm.
So I guess I'll set up the two times. Some people said afternoon is good for America or U.S., and then some early morning for UK. Probably gonna try and set up a little.
What time is it at your place?
One
In the
1
night
p.m.
or? Ah.
afternoon. So yeah, I guess you can't tell from the video. I have no
I
time
don't
zone.
know. I'm from Germany. I got 10 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
10:23.
Hmm. The secret. But man, my computer runs slow when I'm doing this. I can't. Or Patreon super slow. It's like the worst way to set it up. So yeah, I'll probably chill for a little bit, I guess. And then when would be a good time for you then? Probably like when
Uh, just like you did it now, this was pretty good. I could join, but I don't have a specific time. But if we could find some others in the UK, they might be in my time zone, some kind of maybe 1 hour or so later. I don't know how this the time zone works. So
would somewhere in the past or the previous 5 hours be better?
not necessarily. To me, it would be cool in the afternoon or maybe some early in the mornings, maybe. But really, it depends on what kind of day it is, how I'm feeling this day, and so don't pinpoint it down necessarily on my time.
Right. I've been having trouble trying to organize schedule the mainly because my energy levels fluctuate so much. So I have like I don't know. I set a time and then I can't keep it for the most part. I get too tired.
Yeah, I know, I know what you're talking about.
Well, this is a cool little test run right here. I think I'm gonna upload this to Patreon just to, I guess, show whatever invisible face showing interest. All right. It's weird also selecting topics. Um, it's not really. I don't know. It's just the strangest um, variation, and a lot of the information is just blatantly out in front of in everybody's faces, and it's like we all have to choose what we're gonna think for the most part. Um, and I don't also want to be some type of like choice or I don't know news person deciding what people think in the internet or the alternate media because I don't even think that's real. But and so it's like a balance between that and then just not making sense at all and talking about weed or something random or something, which we did good today, I guess. That information as a whole, what Matt was talking about, all that has a whole depth and history and relevance that probably I don't know how it's going to play out because I don't know how the industry is going to go. I don't know how economy and food, um, all the corporations that are pushing food that's like not healthy and this, that, and the other, they could be replaced with
Mm.
10 small businesses that make real good food, or probably 150 to 200 small businesses that are just people making good products. Like the structure itself, the blueprint is partly parasitic and unnecessary and error prone. And if not error prone, then specifically designed to cheat and allow mass profits for value and products that do not deserve that and are pretty much cheap poisons. Um, and so all that is relevant, and then it even goes into more advanced areas of information because the way some of these foods interact with the body and the genetics in the mind, and how the mind and the balance of the body and hormones and chemicals and energies is relative to breaking free from these kind of programming patterns that keep rerouting our intentions back into the same dead end results and so on, and allow
No,
us to be vulnerable and to be open, which then is exploited and used against us to control us and take our energy and take our ingenuity and so on.
yeah. The thing is, I'm at the moment really heavy feeling changes in my body when I eat something like this processed sugar or something like that, or if I have eaten wheat. Uh, the consciousness gets more subtle and more refined the cleaner you are. But if you but the more subtle it is, the more impact it will have on your worldview and all the things that really matter. But if you eat something like sugar or so, boy, it really pulls me back like 2 days or so. I can't, I can't do this shit no more. But it's also like drugs. It's for me, these are the real drugs we have in our society right now.
Sugar is a drug and it's a neurotoxin, and so you know you have to avoid it if you want to be healthier. And I don't know. It's not as hard as it seems at first to more or less. It's just it's got to be a difference. Got to buy different food. Probably make a lot of one's own food, not you necessarily, but just the change people go through, and got to avoid the trick, the magical luring in of one's consciousness to these colorful packages and advertisements and soft drinks and flavorful combination that is designed to produce a sensation in your mind that you produce relating back to good sensations of eating other things that then makes you want to achieve a dopamine response by picking up that product or whatever it is. That's the big thing, like which is it's like the same thing, like what you so is it not eating the food or not eating the food? It's because not wanting to go buy it and so on, when people just don't buy it in the store, not wanting is the part, because our minds are tricked into thinking that is good for us, and that's the basis of deception. It's so small and young. It starts innocently. In school we get candy, and we get, whatever we're supposed to that's supposed to be good for us and make us want to achieve, or motivate us to get an A+ or draw in the crayons and in the lines properly. And then that same pattern of more or less addiction, and like, I don't even know, like, encouraging basically addictive patterning is used with money and material goods and status later. It's like we're cultivated to be used for that from very young. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, but hopefully I can say it in ways that drive it home to people who just go along with that, realizing, of course, that's us falling into that materialistic, desiring and sensation trap. But the goal is to see that it's like 99% of the likelihood and potential of what one's going to do and achieve, if they're put into the public system and if they're led to believe everything that they're told, goes into that. Like, it's by design. It's not just something that's
Yeah,
happening. And then the people that we're paying and we're accepting as leaders are the ones who set up to profit from that system the most. Um,
but the thing is, the most sad part about this must be how your parents took you right into the system and always had just the best intentions for you in mind. Also, uh, I could say my mother had always the best intentions for me, but how you get raised into this society is so abnormal stuff, with all the mind control going on, and things you think are are, are good are actually the opposite.
right. And so it's like an added twist to it, that we're made to trick ourselves and one another. And so then we're first tricked by the system, and then we're tricked by each other. So we have to overcome the distance between one another, and like basically map out a way to communicate and effectively move through life without like causing that to be aggravated, so that now we're at war with one another, while also trying to get enough knowledge and enough communication, like reach, to produce some type of influence that's going to help liberate us mentally and physically from the system itself, which is the concept of this alternate intelligence organism that is kind of collectively powering itself through all of our emotional and mental deficits, that is kind of interacting over long periods of time to keep us feeding those aspects of ourselves, which feeds it as a kind of broken ego reflection of our fears and our incomplete aspects of self. But in contrast, on the other side of the horizon, is seen as this parasite that's holding back our true potential, as our true potential is struggling to rise out of this muck, this subconscious depth of emotional disclarity and so on. It's like chaos. If we can't control ourselves, that means we're riding something that we can't control, we can't contain, and so on. All these mythological, metaphoric references of psychology and so on are talking about the brain and the neurons and all that. And I think the next layer of what we would call extra biological, physiology, or brain cells, like invisible brain cells that are in the air that we all communicate through collectively, which would be, say, higher, people call higher dimensional stuff, new age, whatever. It's really just what our organism has been doing from the underside of what you could see our consciousness as, that's running our genetics and our immune systems and adapting us through time and so on. It's this higher intelligence that's been there the whole time, that we also now have, after growing under, through, like, coming down from the supreme intelligence of the sun, growing up and through the gradient of the grass and the soil, and now growing enough intelligence up above in that middle ground layer, that physical earth, middle dimension, to then perceive the glory of the power that is what started life in the first place, but from the inside as itself, so that we can then organize ourselves to have whatever influence we want. And normally the influence should be to maintain and sustain our connection to that knowledge of ourself from within, deep within the system, seeing out across all the eons of time, and to not degrade that, and so on. But that's part of the system. Maybe it's like it's about power, because in freeing yourselves we get more power, and the people who have freed themselves, if you will, the most, made themselves put themselves in a position to gain the most power by enslaving everybody else. So it's like, I don't know, it's like we have the power to wake up and do all that, but something about ego and our connection to one another seems to be like the final kind of test, if you will. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, but and so on and so on. Um, Words.
Yeah. And where does free will then come into play if people can't choose because they don't know what to choose from? Is it free will that they're choosing from? But somehow this question is at the end, it's already like in the Bible, it says Christ has pulled you, or the believers of Christ, they get pulled to Christ because he would do that. So it, in the end, it all will play out as it needs to.
Yep.
But where free will in all this? You can't trick someone and then say, you choose the wrong side because he didn't know what to choose from.
It's about metadata at that point, because basically, if there's enough hinting and periphery, contextual awareness that the person is cognizing, acknowledging, and even producing opinions about in such a system, it could be used to say that's basically an exploit that's being used to say that's consent, which is manufactured consent, because it's taking what somebody's doing by default and rewriting that to fit into a plan of, if you're doing this, this, and that, and we're in agreement that you're consenting to what I'm doing. And it's kind of then shaping society and reality. So we're all automatically giving our consent, kind of like clicking, do you accept these terms? And everywhere we go. And then meanwhile, in the back rooms of all those buildings, all those places, websites, whatever, people are being abused. And so now we're, by really disassociation, being made to more or less uh, be referred as consent. But I think the crux is if we accept it. Like if they then say, so see, now you don't care, you like this and this is what you want. And if we go, oh darn, well they said that, so it must be true. I think that's the magic. That's the lock and key that makes it, turn and give the power away, which is a big trick if you look at it that way, because then the power is never really out of anyone's hands, because you can't give your power away. You can only believe that you can, and then go along with a charade, and through that end up basically feeding someone else's intentions unknowingly, unwittingly, and through that kind of voluntarily do the work of someone else's whatever they're producing, because I really don't know. um Apparently the corporations all have doubles that work on the other side, where they're using advanced technology to try and create reality or manage time and consciousness and so on. And I really don't know what an individual, somebody who's not using it with any kind of regulations, basically, I don't know. There's corporations that are using the advanced tech that, when it comes out that this is actual, it exists. The next steps would be to regulate it and say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. This is an Act 4, you can't do that. You can't. And then all the corporations that are not, they're kind of resisting this, that awakening, are using it in ways that would be considered very irresponsible for the most part. And so then, but I can't imagine what they're building or what they're trying to build for themselves in using that. I kind of distracted myself as well. That's what I was saying. A little tired. Okay. Was there a specific question? I can't really remember. I
Not
can't remember what you
too
said last.
specific. I asked about free will, how in this context there would be free will if you got tricked into
Oh yeah,
choosing
the
you don't
consent.
want to. But you explained it pretty much. It was the not the same thing. It's something like that. I thought to myself, but you explained it better.
I wrote something down the first time you said that, which was, so I think it comes down to waking up, being aware and in control of our own mind, and what that all pertains is really the only act of free will we have. Excuse me. Anything else is kind of like this virtual program where we're just pressing buttons. It's like, can I go over here? It's kind of like what you were saying. What was it? Now I'm confused. I think Matt was saying it as far as the time algorithm and all that. It doesn't really matter if your cup goes over here, over here. What matters is when information is going, and then you get these nodal points where whatever you do here is going to shift things one way or the other. Those are the events that change things. Part of the shamanistic and so on understanding and capacity is to detect these types of events as nodal points in time, and as well to be able to use your mind to create them by choosing and focusing your intent in the moment. And so the most minute version of that is uh, in non-effectual changes. So I don't know whether I have my hand up or down for that moment right there with no other context involved, as other than explanation. It doesn't really influence much. Um, and in a way, everything does. But and so then the the highest or the largest or densest nodal point or change is whether or not you, and so wake up or enlighten or this and the other, but those are all like container terms to encapsulate and box in a whole plethora of experiences, which basically results in one's emotional patterning and mental patterning no longer being stuck in this strict schedule of cycling, in that it's degrading, it's entropic, and that it cannot ascend in the sense that you can't gain enough power, enough traction in your own mind body relationship to ever actually understand or encapsulate the wholeness of your true being. Which is just to say that you don't more or less rise and fall like a roller coaster and end up in a nervous collapse if you try to understand everything about reality and come to terms with it all and be fully in control and in acceptance of it. Because the reasons why these things are happening are things that are held in the back of our mind because they've been shaped from childhood and so on. So to permeate that memory, trauma, comfort, and social conformity barrier, we have to either be very flexible with our will and our mind, or more or less kind of like a stuck shoulder and frozen cartilage has to break up the cartilage and break up the strictness of the mind, which then is painful or stressful. And so then one's ability to ask themselves, where am I in all of that? And then make an effective uh, choice that effectively provides them benefit in, excuse me, I got a cough, in relation or reference to others in their society, because another person is a unit of whatever you are. So if your unit, that sounds weird, can improve according to your own free will, and that is in reference to everyone around you, and there's a benefit, then you could say you could theorize you have free will. And so then as well, you have to, if you're doing that, you have to check kind of like a lab, because say you did that and then you just went away into a cave or something and didn't speak to people for 20 years, the you that is in control and giving you benefit in that situation without any relevance to anybody else could be so far different from somebody like integrated in a social system, going through this enlightening experience, whatever it is, and maintaining relevance as like this in this gradient that also connects to, who people are today. um, and it could be both, that you couldn't experience it truly in that society, and that you could only do it by basically going insane and going into a place where you're completely disconnected and can no longer ever explain what you know and how you know it to another person. um, and again, those are the like the max limitations of what we can do. And so in viewing that and seeing how we're controlled through that, you can estimate and theorize free will as far as the way I see it, and have, and then as will, or again, if one does not know, which most people don't, you can theorize that they don't have free will, because you can't have free will if you don't know. So at best, those who know are giving themselves more free will, and we're toying with this concept of free will. And those who just have no idea that reality could be different, and society could be different, and power and control and consciousness is much different than the way they think it just fell out of the sky, and all these things just made themselves over time, and no one's running it, and so on. um, we can theorize that they don't have as much free will as somebody who looks at it and says, "Okay, it could be that," because at least if no one knows, to say no, it can't be, is a sign of denial, which is a sign of fear, which is a sign of weakness, which is a sign of restriction, limitation. And so it points to all the dials that we can't see in this kind of quantifiable, realm of maybe partial qualia and synthetic information, that we can't prove fully. We're just projecting that it looks like that's how it would be. And as well, if you take these people and say, "Yeah, you're being lied to. This, yeah, that sucks, right? Well, that's because they lied to you here and messed up these laws and this, that, and the other." They would tell you, "Well, yeah, I choose that," but you can't have a computer say, "Yep, free will, he did it." It's because almost like an undefinable thing. It's one unit, one person to themselves, or one living man or woman or child. In so many words. Hmm. Do you have any plans? Sorry.
For the evening.
Oh yeah, it's the evening for you. As usual.
Yeah, I might smoke cigarettes and might be playing some guitar. Hey, I'm building a guitar right now.
Yeah.
Wait a second, if you can see this, maybe. So it looks like. Oh, can I turn the camera on this? Can I turn the camera? Yeah. So can you see this? Tomorrow is the headstock. This comes on top of that, and then I do saw this, but they had come the cavity for the truss rod and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow I'm going to route out the truss rod cavity.
That's cool.
I always wanted to build a guitar, and now I thought to myself, "Hey, let's start this. It's the best time ever."
That's just cool. What kind of wood did you use?
Wood. For the wood, it was the neck is from, how's this wood called? I don't know. It's some kind. I wanted to use walnut for the darker part and maple for the whiter parts, but they hadn't walnut, so I used bobinga or something like that. I don't know pronounced in English. And what here is, I think it's, I don't know how you say it in English. I forgot the word right now, but it's like a soft needle wood tree. And the top is maple.
Yeah. That's cool. Good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I love woodworking. I haven't done anything in a long time, and now that I did some, I remembered how much I missed it. It's always good to create something.
Yeah.
Makes
Especially something that lasts for a long time and you can use. Becomes like a part of.
Yeah.
That's definitely good. So yeah, I wanna.
What kind of music to be listening this time around?
I haven't really listened to music for a while. I kind of listen to everything, I guess, like old stuff. I haven't listened to much. There's a lot of weird stuff, kind of past 10 years, if you will.
How about let the bass cannon kick it? The strap song.
I remember that. I used to mix it on a mix deck. It's fun. Do like a dubstep mix. It got very loud and strange.
Yeah, trap music is. I think trap music has made the world a bit more positive because I was always listening to heavy music when I was a child. More like metal and death metal because I needed to express some feelings. Nowadays, I can't listen to stuff of music anymore, but I want to listen to heavy music, and then with the trap music, it's pretty cool because it's got this certain kind of feel. If you got good trap music, there are really good artists out there.
I could see that. As far as trap music being a little bit lighter, higher. All right, I think I'm gonna end this recording um because I don't know what else to say and I'm kind of zoning out. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, it was a great pleasure. Chill out with you and talk about some stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to organize a little bit more of a consistent thing and talk about not necessarily current events or things like that, but just whatever people want to know and will help people understand or know whatever they're interested in and so on. Yeah, thank you. And Matt, I don't know what happened to him, but I'm just gonna end the recording now.
Yeah, see you.